I can sit there and do this until I'm blue in the face. And some of the people, they be like, he wasn't passing. They was passing. Elvis' mama was an octoroon.
They could keep Elvis, man. They could keep Elvis around.
Hey, look, I don't care what they do with him.
But his mom was an octoroon.
Yeah. But we got because we have to remember that this is God's crucible. What do you do in a crucible, Brother Rich?
What?
A crucible. What is it for? Another name for a crucible is the great melding pot. What do you do in a melding pot?
You mix.
Yeah, you mix metals. In this case, platinum group metals in the human family. The different root races is applied as a different platinum group metal. Right? When our skin color was primarily shades of green and blue, magnesium was the controlling element of the biology. Now that iron is, instead of tarnishing green or shades of blue, we rust brown or shades of brown. Or as my man like to say, shades of wheat.
Right.
We are just shades of wheat. But the oldest genetics has been exposed to the most challenges to the genetics, to the immune system. The longer your genetics been here, the more it has a built up collection of things it can defend against, and the more adaptable the genetic strain is. But that don't make you a better or a worse person. It just make you have a different genetic line than somebody else who probably can't fend off what you can fend off. Without going into some of the stuff. So some of the stuff required in allopathic medicine is not required in homeopathic medicine, because you speaking from a homeostatic perspective instead of a petro-medical perspective. The petro companies, a lot of the drugs use different stabilizers from fossil fuels, and a lot of the oil reserve goes to medical production, and we don't even know about it. They're extracting parts of the chemical compounds as stabilizers, as lubricants, as to create time-release capsules, all that kind of stuff they use as the petrol fuel. This is what they get their patents on, and this is how they continue to charge you money for your health when they're getting patents on their fossil fuel medications.
Indeed. I want to take it way back, and I mentioned the term root race, and I mentioned Madame Blavatsky, and I hear the majority of people on YouTube mention, because we're trying to figure like, who the hell are we, and why do they hate us so much? Why is there a global conspiracy to where it's like a color caste system, where the darker you are, the more it seems you're suppressed all over the world? Like, how the hell they got the entire globe on lockdown in terms of suppressing melanated people? So in an attempt to understand that, I wanted to go way back, and I hear about the Atlanteans, Rod. I hear about the Lemurians, but there's also the Hyperboreans, and there's also the Polarians. So let's talk a little bit about these root races, Rod. I hear you talk about the Atlanteans a lot in Thoth. I hear you talk about Lemuria. What's up with the Polarians, Rod? How far this shit go? What should we know about the Polarians?
That's Polarians, Tartarians, Hyperboreans. That's all Atlantis.
It's all Atlantis.
Just different people telling the story, and they're calling it something different. Right? When you say Tartarian, that means Western orientation of Rome. Barbary or barbarian, that's Eastern orientation of Rome. Right? So when you're talking Hyperborea, you're talking about north of Rome. But you're still using the Roman frame of reference, and that's the origin of skin-based racism was developed and refined in Rome, rolled out of Notre Dame University as a false narrative.
So it started in Rome, you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, but the caste scroll, which tells you how to create caste systems, you got to know how to create the caste system in order to make a caste system functional without you. It's the same as they say the Willie Lynch letter, right? If you read the Willie Lynch letter, they telling you about all of the dynamics of control you can have by using this paradigm of complexes, the inferiority complex, the superiority complex, but they call it to turn the families against each other first. So now they can't get along. So when they go in the streets, they don't know how to get along with the people in the community, right? So you creating conditions. You don't have to micromanage people if you can control the conditions that they express themselves in. That's why they always bring up the crabs in the bucket. He's totally out of his nature. He's panicking. That's why he's pulling you back now. Not because he got a innate animosity. He's trying to get free, and he panicking. He don't know where to go because he don't supposed to be in the bucket. He's supposed to be in the vastness of the ocean. Of course, he's gonna pull you back down, right? And only intellectualizing being, probably some of the primates and a couple of the dolphins will figure out, oh, we can't attack each other. They got us in this bucket. But the crab never dawned on him that they can form a crab chain and pull each other out if they knew they was in the bucket. They don't know where they at. They don't know that over the top of the bucket is freedom. They just hoping. Like a nigga on the prison yard, hoping that he could be on the other side of the fence.
Right. What would you I had a conversation with a priestess, I said Ra Men yesterday, about the whole 666 thing. And you know, listening to the teachers like Bobby and they always said that is describing the carbon molecule. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. What is the future of the carbon molecule? They're saying that we're going from carbon based to, and I might have asked you this before, from carbon based to what's that word they use, family?
Crystalline.
It's crystalline based. Is this something, if we're going from carbon to crystalline, are we going back to the future? When were we crystalline before? If we're talking about Atlantis, Lemuria, the Polarians and all that, when was we crystalline beings? At what point in history?
That was during the Atlantis period. That's why crystalline beings and carbon-based beings don't behave the same. Carbon-based beings is more volatile chaos energy. Crystalline is more in line with the, because you got to remember, your DNA is made up of crystal forms of amino acids. Right. Crystalline amino acids. That's what make your DNA up. And we was externally focused, which made us skin-based. Right. Which was part of the racist doctrine to get you to focus on the skin. Right. Crystalline, you more internal based. You looking at everything from the inside out, not the outside in. And now you can see with your spiritual eye, or what they call your crystal eyes, your Ujek and Uraeus, with your higher wisdom and your controlled lower nature. Right. They always tell us about the cobra on the crown, but they never tell us about the vulture. Right. Your lower nature. The vulture is the lower nature that you conquered. And the cobra is your higher nature that you've mastered. It's two different struggles going on in the individual. And W.B. Bush wrote about it. He called it the warring soul. Right. Right. The part of the self that want to go along with society at large, and the part of the self that want to truly express itself from its purest source. Right. So you're talking your spiritual self versus your ego self. Your ego is the sum total of everything that you've ever been told about yourself that may or may not be true, but you accepted it as so, because that defined who you was from the external world's perspective. So you're trying to live your life fitting into the perspective of everything you agreed to in your ego, and you haven't even tested it to see if it's compatible with who you are.
Very interesting. let's go through a couple of historical terms, Rod. We're talking about melanin. We're talking about race. And once again, family, if you're just joining us, there was a Senate hearing with RFK. I advise y'all to go see what's going on. Very interesting things have been happening since Trump has been president. I cannot lie. He's really shaking things up. Some people don't like it. Some people do like it. But things are being shaken up. That's one thing we all could agree on, whether you like it or not like what's going on.
You remember I told you as soon as he take office, everything gonna speed up.
Yeah, you did say that. Indeed. Let's go through a couple of historical terms to try to figure out who we are, where we come from, and how we got here, Rod. Let's talk, and this is a term me and you talk about on the phone. We haven't talked about on the internet, Neanderthals. Now, that was a term, a lot of brothers use that term to insult.
The pale-faced tribes tie up. I guess they mentioned, I think they're talking about the East Coast tribes, Raw, the ones that came with Andrew Jackson mixing with people, the $5 Indians, pretty much.
A destiny as it mixes the blood in the urine. It's in your face. But I have to show you that it's in your face or you won't believe me. It's right there. The whole story is right there. So the judgment that Anu, who was authorized to issue a judgment because his rank was higher, issued the judgment on Nebuchadnezzar as the story is told. That's Hiram. That's the story of Hiram. Part of it. Part of it is in Ezekiel. Some of it is in the other lesser prophets. It's all there though. The whole it's broke up. They use homonyms and synonyms. All of this stuff is relevant. They use star charts to confuse you because they know the stars not gonna change. And that's one of the few things that they put in the books, no matter which one it is, that you can always check for frame of reference. They're not allowed to change anything stellar. If you see them write about a star, study that intently, because that's one of the few things that, according to the rules of this universe, they cannot change that on Earth where it cannot be referenced with the stars. Any book that they call a religious book, if it got stellar references, that's your starting point. Match the stars up first. Then match the stories up that fall under the stars. And then it'll clear itself up. You won't need nobody to do it for you. You won't need nobody. So this is why they keep telling you that it's astrotheology in the Bible, in the Quran, the Judaic religions. All they telling you is that everything man can change on Earth, he can't change the stars in the sky. So your elders, your ancestors, was wise enough to know this. So everything they did, they tied it directly to the stars so that you can read it in real time as it unfolds on Earth. And that's why I pointed out when I was telling everyone Hiram was raised. The stars point to the Orion belt. Who is Orion? The great and mighty hunter. Who was the great and mighty hunter? Nimrod. Who was Nimrod? The one they feared. Who was the one they feared? The only one they couldn't defeat, Sun Wukong. Well, what happened to Sun Wukong? Sun Wukong met the Buddha. The Buddha sent him to tame his Sakomala, his monkey man. He named him Hanuman as he became realized because he said, the Monkey King told the Buddha that no man may become God. They can all attain the level of a Hanuman. Look it up. It's no secret. It's all there. And so, if the Orion is the great hunter Nimrod, and if Nimrod is the only undefeated Sun Wukong, and the Sun Wukong went to the Buddha, the great wise one, and the great wise one told him he had to attain the wisdom of the ages before he could rule. And so he went on a journey to the west. Where would he go? Where would he go? If he's going on a journey to the west, where would he go? So at that time, the west was Africa. So he went to the Congo. So this is why they call him the king of the Congo. And they use the symbol of the gorilla, King Kong, because the gorilla is the only major mammal on the continent of Africa you will not find in the hieroglyphics. Now you got to ask yourself why. If they knew about chimpanzees and orangutans in Asia, well, not orangutans because they wrote about them over in India, but if they knew about chimpanzees in Africa, if they knew about baboons in Africa, and they knew about the elephant in Africa, and the lion, and the wildebeest, and they knew about stuff in the water that y'all ain't even seen yet in Africa, how the hell they didn't know about the gorilla? Well, spoiler. The only reason the gorilla is not in the hieroglyphics is the last totem clan to rise on Earth before the ascent would be the gorilla clan. So they were not allowed to use that symbol because the reign of Hanuman had not come. The reign of the Monkey King, crowned in the Congo, had not come. So they can't use his symbols prematurely. If they try to use his symbols, they would violate the rules and lose power instantly and ruin everybody's ascent, even though it's been evil, wicked, and painful. The whole purpose of giving her only begotten son is that no human be thrown away like trash and nobody be left behind who does not choose to be left behind. The only way you can choose to be left behind in the final ascension of this era is by choosing to do things that bring down your natural higher vibratory rate. You have to draw yourself down to becoming lesser than what you are. The more you try to become your best self, the more you can ascend and the more worthy you are to call yourself righteous. And this is why I say it's easier for a rich man to enter into an eye of a needle.
Okay, well, I'm an artist, first off. And I've been getting a lot of like downloads through my art. Like what I've noticed is like my art has like a foreshadowing effect. So like it's been like a lot of downloads regarding portals or like eyes or like, what's the word? What else? It's been a couple of things or like just a couple of situations that I've been like putting together kind of like.
So when you do performing your art, you channeling the what they call Shakti energy, divine feminine, right? And you're gonna always get spirit messages in anything that's artistic. So like I can actually look at pictures people write and see something entirely different than the rest of the world.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I'll read it like a tarot card where other people look at it, oh, that's a beautiful scenery. I like how the ocean smashed against the rocks or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But I'm reading it like a tarot card because it's a projection that came from the subconscious mind and it was guided by the energy of Shakti. Right. So now when I'm looking at it, I'm reading the subconscious mind, Shakti, and it's translating what spirit is saying through this person is this.
Okay.
You know, so each one of your pictures tell a different story.
Right. You know, recently, even what you were talking about, like, I don't know, because I know you live, what, like 30 minutes from me. And the other day, even like, I was in the car with my friend. Huh?
You in Detroit?
Metro Detroit, like the outside of Detroit.
You know where Pontiac at, right?
My dad worked out there. And even what they did to Pontiac was the way this whole everything is just crazy. But I was in the car with my friend the other day and we just driving or whatever, and we hear this noise, like this weird, crazy, like extraterrestrial sounding noise, and we both just look up and we like, what? And then we kind of like later on that night, it was just like a lot of things in the sky that we were just noticing and stuff like that, and we both heard this like loud boom. And I remember when you were on live with Amani a while ago, and you kind of, when you called me that day and I was talking about how, or you were talking about how like you kept hearing a bunch of booms and
that boom, yeah, that
and the other day it happened again, and I'm like, okay, so it's just all the synchronicities been coming up. And even what you were talking about like on the 7th, it was funny because I just started this piece today, this one right here, and it's not finished yet, but I was like, you know, I'm gonna just finish it on the 7th. And then I tapped into your live and you were talking about what was going on the 7th and the 8th.
Go back to that picture. Let me tell you what I see.
Okay.
You see the blue?
Mm-hmm.
I got a video a couple months ago, and I said that it's going to start on the West Coast. We're going to see a sea of blue. And in the middle of the sea of blue, we're going to be a river of red. It was going to be Crips on both sides, and the bees was going to be bee walking up the middle. Right? And you painted the picture. That's the picture that, because the blue water is the Crips, the red river is the Bloods.
Right.
And we're going to drown their ass in bloods up to the horse's bridle with this apocalyptic fuck the police recital. Man. Even that, it's just crazy how everything been coming about. And recently I've been trying to work on, it's just this like thing of like ego, and I've been trying to like, you know, because the more I know, it's like, okay, I don't want to be like a, you know, somebody who just yeah, so they reporting booms in the comments from different parts of the country. One person said Chicago, one said Oregon. You know, so we ain't the only ones hearing it.
Right. Yeah, I had to write all this down. I was like, it is too many connections, too much connection with my art, and I was just like, let me tap into this live. Let me just tap into this live, see if he'll put some of the pieces together. So
yeah, so yeah, Callie gonna set it off when the time comes. The cancer might have been the set off.
I really feel like it was, honestly.
You know, cause Bosco 100. He out there in Cali. He a OG out there, and right after the concert, he couldn't understand why they have a concert for Larry in L.A. But the reason it is because Jay Prince was in cahoots with all of the OGs in California to show the people that the concert can go off without a hitch when you respect the people from the land.
I feel like it didn't even get that much like recognition how I expected it to. Or like, I mean, it wasn't really getting too much.
It got more recognition than they willing to admit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it wasn't enough, or it wasn't a lot of people posting about it or like talking about it too much at first until like it came out, and I feel like that's when. So, but I appreciate everything you know, or everything that you do, everything that you know, everything that you're teaching. It takes courage. It takes a lot of courage, and people don't have the courage to be disliked. So.
Yeah, I don't care if they don't like me as long as they take this truth pill.
People be hating the messenger so much that they miss the message, and I stand on that. I always say that, and I respect what you do. So
yeah, a lot of people don't mind the message. They just hate that I'm the one bringing it.
Or they don't like the way you saying it. Like, just please.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be politically correct. Fuck that.
Okay.
The politics ain't correct. So how
I was about to say, what's politically correct?
You know, if you're gonna be politically correct, the politics got to be correct. When the politics ain't correct, I'm cussing.